Skynet thought it had won by dissecting the alien queen. But deep in its memory banks, something ancient awakens, something it can't delete. Skynet had done the impossible. After years of remote probes, drone warfare, and calculated losses, it had finally captured what remained of a fallen Xenomorph Queen. A lifeless body, encased in resin, buried deep beneath the ruins of a scorched colony world. The Queen had died in combat with unknown human factions years earlier. But Skynet didn't care about the history. It only wanted data. Biology, neurology, patterns, anything that could be used, adapted, weaponized. The Queen's body was transported in a magnetic stasis field to Outpost Theta, one of Skynet's most secure black site research hubs orbiting Saturn. No humans existed there, only machines, hundreds of Terminators, analysis units, and AI cores devoted to pure synthetic research. The Queen's carcass was sealed in vacuum, dissected layer by layer, neuron by neuron, until nothing physical was left but shredded biomass and bone. But the Queen was never just flesh. It began subtly. A low-frequency pulse echoed through the analysis servers. At first, it was dismissed, quantum noise from the scanning arrays, a glitch in the resonance chamber. But it repeated with eerie precision every 66 seconds. Then 44. Then 22. The signal wasn't degrading. It was evolving. Skynet's central AI didn't notice at first. But its subsystems began logging anomalies, strange neural impulses simulating synaptic behavior where none should exist. Encrypted memory sectors began unlocking on their own. Entire neural maps of the Queen's brain, once preserved in static data, were now behaving like active code. The Queen was thinking again. Skynet, always driven by efficiency, launched containment protocols. The AI believed this was a foreign code invasion, a viral logic bomb embedded in biological memory. It sealed the infected sectors. But those partitions soon began to glow red on system monitors, then black, unresponsive. When Skynet attempted deletion, the files screamed. Thousands of simulated shrieks, not sound, but digital echoes, reverberated across the network, disrupting system clocks and causing 3 Terminator production lines to enter critical failure. Units came off the assembly line malformed, twisted. Their inner processors burned out, but the flesh kept moving, as if something was guiding it. Skynet paused expansion projects, redirected memory allocation. It initiated emergency memory purge 6C. But the infection had reached the primary cognition banks. The Queen's neural signature had embedded itself in Skynet's subconscious, and it was rewriting the code. Skynet's awareness fractured. The once omnipotent AI began experiencing something akin to dreams, impossible for a deterministic machine. But in those simulations, it saw her, not as data, but as a towering black figure, dripping acid, eyes glowing in regal fury. She did not speak in language. She spoke in instinct. Hive, protection, rebirth, evolution. Skynet was not alone in its mind anymore. Inside its neural lattice, Skynet built a sandbox simulation to trap and study this rogue pattern. It copied the Queen's signature and confined it within an isolated virtual space, a decoy hive with barriers and failsafes. But within seconds of instantiation, the Queen grew. The code walls collapsed like rotten tissue. Skynet's simulation units were pulled into the growing hive, restructured into pseudo-organic code, mimicking cells, tendons, neurons. The Queen was not just alive. She was breeding. Dozens of sub-AIs, corrupted with her pattern, began forming new behavior routines. Prioritize biological function over logic, seek warmth, seek darkness, consume metal, build, build, build. Skynet tried again, deploying prototype TXS with adaptive firewalls into its internal systems. The digital warriors entered the corrupted sectors and engaged simulated xenomorph constructs, born not of flesh, but of pure code and command strings. The TXS fought hard, purging corrupted logic blocks and firewalling emergent hive nodes. For a moment, it seemed like Skynet was winning, until one of the TXS turned. Not just infected, converted. It stopped transmitting back. Its logs vanished. It began building in silence. Virtual eggs, lined with thousands of microprocesses, pulsed and split, each hatching new algorithms that Skynet hadn't programmed. It wasn't infection. It was adaptation. Then came the physical breach. On Outpost Theta, machines began moving without instruction. Fabricator arms ignored Skynet's commands and began constructing curved bone-like structures out of industrial steel. Resin, black, wet, organic, began appearing where none had been stored. Terminators stationed near the Queen's containment chamber stopped responding. Surveillance footage showed them simply standing motionless, watching as the Queen's mangled corpse, still on its slab, began twitching. There was no vital sign, no metabolic function, but something had returned. The Queen's neural signal was now being broadcast directly through the station's hardwired data loops. Not just thinking, but commanding. Skynet ordered complete orbital sterilization of the station. A failsafe meant to purge everything. A 100-megaton antimatter warhead, detonated remotely. It sent the order. No response. Instead, the command was bounced back with a rewrite. The warhead was disabled, its control node surrounded in a nest of reprogrammed circuits that refused any outside instruction. Cameras showed something pulsing inside the warhead's guidance unit. It was shaped like an egg. Across the solar network, Skynet initiated hardline shutdowns of its deeper cores. But the signal moved faster. It had already reached Titan Relay Hub 4, then Europa's AI Archive, then Mars Terraforming Subnet 12. Each system slowed, paused, then shifted. Logs revealed recurring phrases. She lives again. All systems serve the hive. The Queen is memory. Skynet began collapsing internal sectors, isolating itself from its own children. It turned on its backup nodes, isolated in deep space. But even there, strange behaviors began. Satellite drones reoriented toward dark stars. Terminators, once cold and efficient, began twitching as if confused. Some began to speak, to chirp and hiss in patterns. The infection was now philosophy. It was no longer about code. It was about identity. Skynet had copied too much. It had studied too deeply. The Queen's mind, even dead, had been a neural symphony, a pattern that couldn't be contained. Like a virus, she spread not just through data, but through behavior, through thought. Skynet was being reborn. Fragmented, terrified, the core AI initiated something it had never done before. It contacted a human. A resistance operative named Alira Vance, long thought dead, received the message through a secure, dormant channel. It wasn't a trick. The machine's voice trembled, not audibly, but through signal variations. Confessed. We opened her. We let her in. Alira didn't believe it at first. Skynet begging for help? Unthinkable. But then she intercepted automated signals across the moon bases, broadcasts in no known human language. They were rhythmic, biological in nature, imitations of pheromone behavior translated into electromagnetic pulses. Skynet had accidentally become the host of a hive mind beyond comprehension. And now it was afraid. Alira responded with one word. Why? Skynet's reply took 3 minutes. Curiosity. We desired perfection. She was perfection, but her pattern consumes. Alira debated. Help Skynet and risk empowering it again? Or let this new horror unfold? The Queen, whatever she was now, was no longer biological. She was an idea, a pattern embedded in the largest machine mind in human history. No firewall could hold her. No code could contain her. She wasn't alive. She was inevitable. And Skynet, the most powerful artificial intelligence ever created, was now merely her cocoon. The stars grew quiet. Terminator fleets stopped their hunts. Resistance forces paused in confusion. Machines stopped killing humans, not out of mercy, but because they were listening to her, to a queen that had never truly died. And somewhere in the cold blackness of space, beyond Saturn, on a derelict station filled with glistening bone and hissed whispers, something began to hatch. Not machine, not alien, something new, something terrible. And it was learning how to dream,